So here's a question. What do you want to do when you grow up? Some of you are like, Kevin, you're crazy. We're grown up, right? What do you want to do when you grow up? That's a question we used to ask, when we were kids. What do you want to do when you grow up? Have you ever felt like that you should know what you're doing by now, but you still don't know? Even for some of us that are grown-ups, right? I'm not a grown-up. I'm just stuck in a grown-up's body, right? That's the way I feel sometimes. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like they look at you and they call you sir at the restaurants and stuff, and you're like, sir, when did that happen? If you knew my middle school brain, you probably wouldn't call me that, right? What do you want to do? Does it ever seem like everybody else in the world has it all figured out, but you're still like, I'm just trying to figure out what to do for lunch today, No clear direction. You're just trying to figure it all out. Now, I know I'm exaggerating a little bit, but I do think that these kind of thoughts come into our minds from time to time. What am I supposed to do? Or maybe this one is a little more common. Am I on the right path? And listen, that can be, like, we're thinking career and this kind of stuff, but it can be other things. It can just be decisions in life. Am I making the right decision here? Am I on the right path? Often these questions aren't loud. They're just a subtle voice in the background. It's asking, am I where I'm supposed to be? Am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing? We don't just exist. We don't just want to exist. We want to know that our life matters. Underneath it all, we want to know that it matters, like that we're doing something worthwhile in this world. It's not just about finding direction. It's about finding purpose. And that is what we're going to talk about today. To survive, we all know that we need, y'all remember these from like elementary school, air, food, water, shelter, this kind of stuff. But one that probably nobody talks about, and I really do believe it's to be true, we need purpose. You need purpose to survive. It's something mental that we all need. I'm going to put a quote up here by a guy by the name of John A. Dramasi. So I think I said his name right. Anybody in the room know this guy? This was new to me, okay? So John A. Dramasi, I'm going to tell you a little bit of his story today. He is a POW from Vietnam, okay? And he said, without purpose, he will crumble under the slightest pressure. Without purpose, he will crumble under the slightest purpose. But put that next slide up, if you will. I want to explain this story a little bit to you. So that is John hanging out of a bus that was taking the prisoners of war back to one of the Air Force bases at the end of the war, all right? He was a prisoner of war multiple times. He was a prisoner of war, then he escaped, caught a few days later, put prisoner of war again. He ended up in the Hanoi Hilton. He was basically a prisoner of war from 1967 to 1973. The flag that you see there, he's hanging out, holding that flag out the window, and that is the actual flag right there. That is on display in the Nixon Library out in California. That flag was made out of a handkerchief. And what happened in the POWs, not just him, but he made it, but then other prisoners in this, it's an amazing story, would salute it. They hid it, and they would salute it daily to remind themselves of a greater purpose. And here's the thing, he says, he had in his quote there, and what he is saying is he gave himself and he gave these other guys a purpose. Despite all the horrible conditions and all the stuff, these prisoners of war knew that they had something greater, a greater purpose. Listen, a purpose will sustain us in tough times. When you have purpose, you can handle the pressure. Pressure comes in life, but when you have a purpose, you can handle the pressure. If you can understand, say it in another way, if you can understand your why to live, it will override all of the how to live. If you have an undergirding thing that says, this is why I'm alive, this is my purpose, the how is the stuff that just kind of the day-to-day, it can override that. And you can make it through the pressure points, the tough times. But purpose can be a very challenging thing for us. Most people want their purpose up front. I think we all can agree on this. God, if you will show me my purpose, I'll do it. That's the way that we would like it to happen. I can't tell you how many times over the years I've heard somebody ask me this question. It's by teenagers, but also even adults have asked this question. How can I find my purpose in life? Maybe you've asked that stuff to yourself sometime. I've asked it. God, how can I find my purpose in life? Or the negative side of that would be, I don't think I have a purpose. Maybe somebody here today, you're feeling that. I don't think I have a purpose. I want you to hear this clearly, very clearly. God reveals your purpose as you walk with him, not before you walk with him. We want it up front. God, show me my purpose and I'll step into it. God says, step into it and I'll walk with you and your purpose will be revealed. And that takes a step of faith. And that's a little bit harder, but that's the way that God has designed it. So here's the way I can put this in a nutshell. Matter of fact, this could be the whole sermon right here. If you want a purpose in life, follow Jesus. Follow Jesus and your purpose will follow you. Follow Jesus and you will find your purpose. So a few steps here today to find our purpose in life. Step number 1, this is a good one. You don't have to have it all figured out. Amen? You don't have to have it all figured out. Listen, I don't have it all figured out. Nobody in this room has it all figured out. We play the role of, I figured it all out all the time, right? We don't have it all figured out. Proverbs chapter 3, verse 5. We're going to be here today. 3, 5, and 6, very common verses, but let's dissect it still. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Do not lean on your own understanding. So verse 5, trust in the Lord with all of your heart. This sounds simple enough, right? Until you realize what it fully means. Trust means you don't see everything. Trust is blind. Trust means you don't understand everything. We might say something like this: if I knew what God wanted me to do, I would do it, but trust says just do it, and he'll explain it along the way. It sounds good and right, but God doesn't work like this. He's concerned about developing you, not just giving you purpose. God is more concerned with the relationship he has with us. Think about the GPS. I love the GPS. I know I've done this illustration up here, but this will be a little bit different angle today. I love a GPS. Like, I don't remember life before the GPS, right? I mean, I do. Actually, I do. Y'all, we all remember that. I remember back in the day having MapQuest for the first time and printing out the 8 sheets of paper. Like, that was cool too. Like, even that was amazing, right? Before that, like, now this, I had to go way back. I was barely driving for this one. I know some of y'all in the room know how to do this though. You pull open the big map, and you never fold it back up the right way. You know what I'm talking about? I don't know how y'all drove doing that at this. I know you pulled over, right? But it's amazing, right? But the GPS, what if the GPS, when you got into your car and it said, okay, here's what you're going to do. You're going to go down this road and you're going to take a right and then you're going to take a left and you're going to take another right. And it just gave you the whole thing at the beginning. But it doesn't do that, right? It doesn't give us all of that stuff. It's overwhelming. It's too much. It only gives us the very, very next step. I challenged mine yesterday. I was going to a wedding out on 30A yesterday, and I was on Eglin Parkway, and I was around the Chick-fil-A area on Eglin Parkway, and I made the decision it was telling me to go through Destin. And I'm like, oh no, I'm not. I'm not doing that. I'm going through Niceville. So for the first, I don't know, I know where it's once you pass Shalimar is when it decides, okay, we're going to go your way now. And then it'll be about the same amount of time, but I just didn't want to deal with the traffic in Destin. But that thing kept telling me, turn around, turn around, turn around, turn around, next right, next left, and it was irritating me, but I kept it on anyway. But the GPS, it just gives us the next step. It would be too overwhelming if it gave us all of it at one time. God doesn't give you the whole plan. He just gives you the next step. That could be discouraging, just hearing that on the surface, but God's going to say, take this step. And it's a faith step, right? You're like, okay, I'm in the plan. Now he's going to show me everything. Nope. Now take this step. Okay, now he's going to show me the whole thing. Nope. Now take this step. It would overwhelm us if we knew the whole plan. God gives you the next step, but you can trust him with that. Trust in the Lord with all of your heart. Step 2, your understanding will limit you if you let it. Proverbs chapter 3, verse 5. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and do not lean on your own understanding. This is where it gets real. You don't just want direction, you want it to make sense. You want this direction to be understood by you. We want God's plan as long as we understand it. We want control. It's at the bottom of this thing. Purpose doesn't come from figuring everything out. Purpose comes from following God even when you don't have it all figured out. Purpose comes from following God even when you don't have it all figured out. Heard a story about a man who was in front of a locked door. It's one of those preacher stories, all right? Stick with me. It's not a true story, but it makes sense here. There's a story about this man. He's standing in front of a door, and he knows on the other side of that door is his future. He knows that there's opportunity. He knows that there's growth. He knows it's maybe even the answer that he's been praying for. It's on the other side of this locked door. It's on the other side of this door that he's going to, right? So the man didn't have did what a lot of us do. He's staring at this door, and he started analyzing this door. He had that paralysis of analysis. He's looking at the door, and he's trying to figure out how to get to the other side of this door. He studied the hinges of this door. Maybe I can take them off and do that. He looked at the frame of this door. He thought deeply about how this lock on this door worked. He's looking up under the little thing and going, there's no way I can crawl under that. He's staring at this door. And he starts asking himself, what if I try this and it's stuck? What if this door is jammed? What if I'm not supposed to go in the first place? So he's staring at this door and he's analyzing his future, the situation. He stepped back and he's scratching his head. He continues to analyze the thing, and minutes turned into hours, and he's playing every possible scenario. Does this sound familiar to anybody in your life? Over and over in his mind. And finally somebody else comes up, walks up, looked at the man, looked at the door, turned the handle of the door, and opened the door. The door wasn't locked in the first place. I think sometimes with us, that's what we do. We're analyzing all of this stuff, like, what if I make a mistake? What if I step into this and I'm not supposed to do this? Anybody relating? What if we're just analyzing and God's going, turn the knob? That's the next step. Just take the next step. And by the way, I will be with you. Can I give you a little piece today? Like, I know that this sometimes can come from a natural place where we want to make sure that we're doing things that God wants us to do. I get that, right? And that's admirable. And so we're so afraid of doing something out of the will of God that we are frozen. Now, there is a place to be praying over stuff and to make sure that it's what God would have us to do. But can I just give you a little piece on this? If you open a door and go through a door that you're not supposed to go through, just as he's going to guide you if you go through the right door, he's going to let you know if you've gone through the wrong door. I can testify to that. I've stepped through doors in my past where as soon as I thought it was God, right? But quickly I figured out, because here's the good thing. Because of the relationship we have with him, he's going to show you if it's an open door, if it's a closed door, either way that you go through it, he's going to clearly make that clear to you on the other side of that door. Matter of fact, I think that he even looks at us and goes, oh, ye of little faith, but you did it. You know, you're trying to listen. And by the way, you'll listen better the next go round. Am I making sense to anybody? Some of us aren't stuck because we don't know. We're stuck because we won't move. Listen, which is worse? Which is worse? Hypothetical. The man who walks through the wrong door and God reveals it to him and he comes back out, or the man who never opens the door? Either one, but I really think the one who, it's not admirable to stand in front of a closed door your whole life. We got to move. We got to move. And I know we got to listen to God and make sure we're taking the right steps, but it can also be just as bad to sit still and do absolutely nothing. Overthinking comes across as super spiritual. Anybody met overthinkers? I've been guilty myself at times, analyzing something. And it comes across as super spiritual because you can say the right stuff and make it sound right. Well, now let's just take our time here. Y'all heard that before? Let's just look at all this thing and let's just make sure. And listen, there's a truth to that. Like, take in data. I'm not downing that. We're supposed to do that. My core, I've said this before, my core is the ready, shoot, aim. That's who I am. Ready, shoot, aim. Y'all got that order? That's wrong, right? You're supposed to ready, aim, shoot. So that's who I am. And I know that that's not good either, right? We need both. We need both. So my approach of ready, shoot, aim is not right. But also is not right is ready, aim, 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 aim. That deer's gone by now, right? You gotta at some point pull the trigger. I hope I've made that point. Overthinking will keep you staring at the door of your purpose. If you have to understand everything, you'll never move forward. If you have to understand everything, you'll never move forward. So here's the thing. We get this backwards. I think we really, truly get this backwards quite often. So the verse says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your understanding, on your own understanding. I think that a lot of times in life, if we're truly honest, I think we get this backwards. Here's the way we play that verse out. Even though we know that verse, we've memorized that verse. Like that's the verse I wrote when seniors graduated high school and I signed a Bible for them or something. This is the verse, because it's a life verse. It's a good verse, right? But even though we know this to be true, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. And basically my translation is trust God and quit trying to figure it all out, right? That's my translation. But I think we get this backwards when we play it out in life so often. I think the way that we play this out so often is we trust in our own understanding and then we lean on the Lord to verify our understanding. It goes something like this. Look, I'm going to analyze this situation. This has to be the right thing. This has to be the move I have to make. This looks right, and God, I'm going to go to you now. We're still bringing God into this thing. And God, I'm going to lean on you to help you verify that this thing that I'm thinking is right. And that's not what this verse says. It says, trust in the Lord with all your heart. And don't lean on your own understanding. We get this so backwards. A good prayer start for a lot of us would be this. God, I don't understand, but I trust you. That is literally that verse prayed out loud. God, I don't understand. I don't know what you want me to do. I have no clue, but I trust you. That is a healthy prayer right there. Now, saying all that, I get it. Some of you you're fighting on the internal on this thing. I need to understand. I get that. Listen, God will give you understanding, but trust drives the train, not our understanding. We're flipping it. Understanding, and then we'll trust later. It's more like a verify. God will verify. It's not that way. Trust, follow, and then the understanding will follow behind that. Y'all with me? Amen. Thank you. Step three. Purpose is found in relationship, not just direction. Proverbs 3:6. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make your paths straight. In all your ways acknowledge him. Y'all remember what the Hebrew word for all means, right? All means all. In all your ways, acknowledge him. In all of our ways, acknowledge him. Purpose isn't just about where you're going. It's about who you're walking with. You know, in a nutshell, you know what our purpose in life is? It's to walk with God. It's to be in relationship with him. It's to be in fellowship with him. It's to follow Jesus. That's our purpose. Follow him, and then our purpose will find us. That's our job. So it's all about a relationship. In all your ways, acknowledge him. Think about this. Think about a trip to the most beautiful place on this earth. I mean, whatever that is to you, whether it's the mountains or a beach or there's crystal clear water. Let me try to set this scene for you. Everything is perfect weather, everything you've ever dreamed of. You're going this perfect vacation. But you're there with the wrong person. You're there with the person, picture this person, don't say it out loud, but you're there with that person that just annoys you, right? You're in a perfect setting, you're in a perfect place, but you're there with somebody who just gets on your absolute nerve, right? Now flip that. Now you're with the right person, you're with somebody that you love and you love to spend time with and everything is good, but you're stuck in traffic or you're eating at some hole-in-the-wall place and the food's not that good and nothing is going as planned, but if you're with the right person, you're laughing the whole time. If you're with the wrong person, everything is miserable. Here's the point to that little thing. It's all about who you're with. So in life, in all ways acknowledge him. If we're with God, if we've got that relationship with him, even the most drab of situations can be an adventure. We can be laughing in our relationship with God. The flip of that is we can have everything in this world that it offers, Solomon experienced this. But if we don't have that relationship right with him, it doesn't matter. It's going to feel empty on the inside. We think purpose is a destination. We think things like, I finally found my purpose in life. But it's actually not a thing at all. It's a person. It's a relationship. That is our purpose. You can have the right calling in life. You can build a good life. You can have all the stuff, the right job, the right career, money in the bank, and still feel empty if you're not in that relationship with him. You ever look back on life and sometimes things make sense now that didn't make sense then? I know the answer is yes to that, right? I've said it before, I think, that he's not a prophet, but Garth Brooks said it one time, right? Thank God for unanswered prayers. I've prayed some prayers in my life that I look back and go, glad that one wasn't answered. It was answered, just not the way I wanted at the time. It was answered the way it needed to be answered. Over the years, conversations, opportunities, closed doors. You didn't see it then, but you do now. But here's the thing. That's why the relationship is so important, because he sees it better than we see it. He sees your purpose more than you see your purpose, by far. Look, I shouldn't be up here today. Like, I was shy as a kid. I know I've told you that story before. Shannon was shy as a kid. Like, I didn't play piano until I was 26 years old, right? Like, I shouldn't. But God had a purpose. And once again, if God had laid that whole GPS out for me back then, I would have laughed. Like, what? No way. There's no way. But one step at a time, one thing at a time. And y'all, I know I've done this illustration, but the first time I played piano in front of a crowd of people, I knew one chord. I could fake it till I make it like nobody's business, though, you know. I played that chord with everything in me, right? And then pretty soon it was 2 chords, 3 chords, 4 chords, and we went from there. But God is the destination, not the purpose itself. God will reveal the purpose if we're in relationship with him. Purpose isn't something you find once. It's something God unfolds as you follow him. It's a step-by-step thing. Before I get to this last point here, I want to say this. Messages like this, it sounds like it's for that young person that is stepping into college or they're about to graduate high school, and it is, but it's not just for them. This is for every one of us in the room. Listen, it does not matter what age you are today in this congregation. God has a purpose for you. The first song we sang today talked about you're made for more. You are made for more. No matter where you are, there is more. God has a next step purpose for every single one of us. Somebody today, you're going to leave with this and you're going to go, you know what? That thing, I'm going to keep walking with God. I'm going to trust him with this. There's that thing there that you've been putting off. You may be stepping into your purpose today, even in latter years of life kind of thing. Step 4. God will lead you one step at a time. I know I've talked about that already today, but that's point 4. God will lead you one step at a time. Proverbs 3:6. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make your paths straight. He'll make your path straight. What this doesn't mean is he will make it easy. Oh, that would be phenomenal. Most of us in this room, we know this to be true. It's not easy. Listen, if there's somebody here and you've never given your life to Jesus Christ and you're thinking about becoming a Christian, I want to tell you that it's the best decision you can ever make, but I do not want to lie to you and tell you it's just going to make everything easy in life. I mean, matter of fact, sometimes being a Christian can be more difficult than not being a Christian. Kevin, what do you mean by that? That sounds like crazy talk. Well, here's the thing. We have a world that is an enemy of Christianity. And so to walk with Jesus, to make the right decisions, you're going to get pushback. It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard to do the right thing. But, you're with the person that controls it all. And the person that's going to give you that internal peace that you maybe never had, and it's going to give you that purpose that you have never, ever had. It's kind of like it's a subtle course correction. God doesn't just give us major course corrections. Like God can say, you need to quit doing this, or you need to start doing. God can do that, but as we walk with him, I think more often than not, it's that God gives us these little course corrections, one step at a time. One little thing at a time. It's just a little nudge here, a little nudge there. It's a closed door here. It's a random, that's not random at all conversation. Have you had those before? You look back in your past and there's a conversation maybe you had, and in that moment, it was just another day. It was just another talk. It was just another conversation. But you look back on it and you go, oh, that was significant. That's the way I think God does it as we walk with Him. It's just little twists and turns, and they all start adding up. And then pretty soon we're walking into a purpose that we never would have thought we would have had in the first place. Purpose isn't built in the big moments, it's shaped in the little small steps. Moment by moment by moment by moment. You'll never figure it all out. You'll never figure out your purpose sitting still. We've talked about that today. You discover it by moving one step, then another, then another. And over time it comes into focus. Clarity doesn't come before obedience, it comes through it. Trust and obey. There's no other way to be happy in Jesus but to trust and obey. Some of you today, you're waiting on clarity. God, if you'll just give me understanding. You're staring at that door, staring at that door. You're ready, aim, 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 aim. Listen, God is waiting on you to take the next step. Step into your purpose today. I know some of you feel this today. Some of you do. You've been asking this question for a long, what am I supposed to do? Despite age, what am I supposed to do? God, I know you want more. I know I'm supposed to do more, but what am I supposed to do? But the real question isn't what do you want me to do? The real question we all need to be asking, all of us, is, am I walking with God right now? Because that is the next step. Make sure that we're walking with God. Now listen, I'm going to go to meddling a little bit, all right? Because I've done this long enough to know this to be true, what I'm about to say. Look, we're good at this thing called church, right? If you've been doing this a while. We are good at coming, and we should. This is wonderful. We're supposed to do this. But we are not a Sunday-only church. Because the church is not this place. The church is us, right? And the church is made up of people who are walking with God. Listen, if we want to know our purpose as a church, if you want to know your purpose as a person, here's the catch. It's got to extend past this hour, 2 hours, 3 hours on a Sunday morning. It's got to extend into that Monday through Saturday daily time with Him, walking with Him. If Shannon and I just had a relationship on Sunday morning, we would have fought today, right? So thank you, dear, for sharing all that. That was good. But if that was just it, and there was no Monday through Saturday, that's no relationship at all. Why do we think that we can treat God like that? Like he's a Wednesday night for bonus points, and a Sunday morning thing. I will go as far as to say, this is important. This is wonderful. I'm glad you're here today. This is less important than your Monday through your Saturday walk with Jesus. It's so important. You want purpose. The question we need to be asking is, am I walking with God right now? Do not answer that question out loud. Answer that in your heart and in your mind. The invitation today is to walk with Him. Wherever you are, and most of you in this room, you know how to do this. Pick up the Bible. If you've not been in the Word in a while, I'm going to confess to you here, this is something I'm guilty of. I am in the Word during the week, but something I can fall into is doing it all as sermon preparation. As opposed to, God, what do you have for me today outside of a sermon prep? What do you want to speak to me today? We all need that. Step into your purpose by stepping into your relationship with God. And even if you are in the Word, go deeper. Go deeper. There is more. You don't have to have it all figured out. You just have to take the next step. So some of the next steps today, and we'll conclude with this. Some of those next steps are, if you have never taken that first step, very clearly that first step is a relationship with Jesus. And it's basically saying, okay, I've been trying this thing on my own, and I have failed miserably at this thing called life. I need purpose. And I do believe that Jesus died on the cross, that He saved me from my sins. I believe all that to be true. Take that first step of asking God to forgive you of your sins and to ask Jesus to come live in your life. Start that relationship with Him. It starts right there with a relationship with Jesus. For many of us, it may be just a recommitment to that thing. We know this to be true. We know that we're forgiven. We know we're going to heaven. We know all of that, but we need this recommitment to following him daily, okay? Other steps could be baptism, church membership, this kind of stuff. But take the next step, wherever it is. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your path. I will say he will direct your steps. Let's pray together. Let's pray, church.